Good evening and welcome to another edition of your program, our program. It's CamerFoot on LT Sports Television, a day where we shall be looking at a lot of stories that have animated the football family. Andre Onana's outing about the Cameroon national team in Cote d'Ivoire during the AFCON in 2023. We'll also be looking at news around the players who've been cleared by CamerFoot's SG, Louis Manon, to play for Aigle Royal du Mongo against the rules. Match day 14 of Cameroon's Elite One Championship are over, and we shall be looking at who has done what. Finally, we shall be looking at the Cameroon players and how they've performed over the week in their respective clubs, because these are the boys that make us proud. On CamerFoot on LT Sport Television, I am never alone. I am always flanked by the man who knows it all. They call him the magic prof of sports. Miley Edmond, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mambo. Good evening, fans out there.
Busy sports week, prof. We've had the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is the performances of the elite clubs. There have been some exciting, mouth-watering games. The good is also how Cameroon players have been scoring goals around the world in Iraq, in Sweden, in France, and all over the place. But the bad is also the fact that Andre Onana was out speaking and he said lots of stuff that some did not see as normal or good enough for the image of Cameroon's football. So, Prof, he was speaking in a TikTok chat with his friends, and he said amongst the things that were said was that an individual is using Foot and the Cameroon national team to settle his scores, and that anyone who spoke out was being witch hunted or sidelined. And probably that explains why he has been put by the side by the coach and by the FA. He also mentioned the fact that a player who is currently playing in Cameroon's top flight championship walked up to him after the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire and said, from the bonus that everybody had, it's between 47 and 52 million francs, he got just 5 million francs. That shows that national team places these days are being used for business. And these are not things that when you hear them, you sit back and say, our football is in a good place.
I mean, yeah, the stories, the revelations made by Andre Onana in that TikTok live video with his friends tries us to give us some insights into what's happening in the Lions' Den. I mean, these are stories that have gone past generations. I mean, from the Tiophia Beggars to the Del Antoines to the Roger Millers to
But
the Stephen
a little less during the Apega days than we have these days.
than we have these days, and it is what it is a continuation of this fluid between the camps that we know. I mean, there's a split in Cameroon's football today. I mean, multiple splits. I mean, the one notable one is while we have the minister and the federation president on the one hand, there is also this
The
one
president of the FA and Andre Onana.
and Andre Onana. That is continuous. We've seen how both camps have been able to recruit friends and followers and influencers and bloggers
to blow their trumpet
to their cause. I think what the revelations that were made by Andre Onana are very, very, very serious allegations. It indicates that places in the national team are being monetized now.
From a distance, when we look at the players that are being picked by Coach Bago, when we don't have concrete reasons why Baleba, Nuhutolo were dropped during the FIFA series, and we saw strange players that we don't know much about, and the player from the sixth tier in Brazil, Arnold Maekandem, is still in that team. It's legitimate to give a serious thought to what Andre is saying.
Yes, I mean, and this is where we find it fun in Cameroon. I mean, you hear people jubilate and celebrate the fact that coaches get onto a presser and are being philosophical and quoting proverbs
that are meaningless.
and
You imagine DJ Deschamps in a press conference, they're asking him why he has not picked Mbappe or Tchouameni, and he's telling you about some philosophy. God is helping me. I'm praying to God. I trust in God.
yes,
Which is the usual narrative with Bible. each time is mon Dieu, je suis avec mon Dieu, quand Dieu me bête. That is not answering the important questions.
Yeah, because with explanations from the coach, it helps in order to be able to clarify the situation. Because it's either you're resting players because maybe we're going to Australia and it's a far off distance.
And if you're resting players, Baliba is in England just like Bemo.
Yeah.
Bemo is not coming on the grounds, he is injured. And the Cameroon national team is insisting that Bemo does a 40 hours journey just to come and confirm the injury. And then you can't give us just a reason that you're resting players, because that wouldn't tie.
Yeah, I mean, so there has to be a certain level of consistency, and it is okay. I mean, I tend to realize that maybe there is a fear in order to be able to say that they are disciplined players. It is okay for a coach to be able to say, "I have not called this player because
Of disciplinary reasons.
Of disciplinary
But
reasons."
then we as the media men and women would love to know exactly what is the offense of the player.
I mean, just the fact that you go on to say past behavior in the Lions Den did not live up to the expectations of the standards of the national team. I mean, you can end there, but it sends a message that, oh, this player has not been left out for this reason. Because once you do that and you start opening up these avenues or these conspiracy theories. So Andre said what he said. I would have loved. I mean,
I'm coming there because one thing I have heard that makes lots of sense to me is what Jules Denis Onana, the man who was Cameroon's left back during the 1990 World Cup, said. He said, if what Andre is saying doesn't make sense, CamerFoot should, or the authorities that should open an investigation to see if what he's saying is true or false. And if it is false, he should take disciplinary measures, because he can't make such allegations and everyone keeps quiet. That doesn't speak well.
Yes, I mean, these are very, very grave, serious allegations. So it's either they definitely have to carry out investigations, and the investigations will lead to sanctions. Either they're sanctioning Onana for spreading false rumors, or they are sanctioning somebody at the federation
who has
been
blackmailed and siphoned the players' funds,
embezzled money. And like he said, I mean, you and I, over the past 2 months, we've been able to meet some people who've played in the national team,
who are still working in the national team milieu, and who are saying that.
And they always tell you that what people say in private is usually not what people say in public.
The open. And that's one thing Andrew Nana said as well. He said those players he has cited will be targeted and even given threats to come out and debunk what he has said. And we saw just that, because there was Douala Nitan who came out and said he's not in it and he's the only one who is playing Cameroon. There was Atebalune, who at the time was playing for Dinamo. He too has come out in his own corner and said it's not me. So at the end of the day, we have a problem, because everyone is running away from the responsibility. And Denis Onana makes it clear that there is no way these players who are still in activity will align with what Andre is saying, whether it's true or false.
Yes, I mean, it's difficult, especially if we take into consideration the reality of our football today. It is very, very vindictive. I mean, even across the world, you realize that once maybe Onana has crossed himself. That TikTok video.
For me, I'm done with it.
That's him crossing himself, like, okay, I know I will never be called up again in a national team. I mean, in the next 4 years, while the president or the current administration is still there, that is it. So he wants to be able to do that. But for me, if he chooses to be able to want to become a whistleblower, a TikTok live video does not do justice. I mean, he has to be able to grant a full sketch interview, 31 hours, where he's ready to be able to say his own piece, say what he knows, in order to be able to provide a lot of clarifications. Because
however, the TikTok live video is evidence. It's there for everyone to hear. It's gone viral. He has said these things. So you might choose to communicate through the former channels, but social media also is now a strong tool.
There can always be interviews on TikTok. I mean, it should be an interview where he's pressed on in order to be able to provide deeper insights, tell us what's happening. We saw the TikTok live, was it Instagram or TikTok, one of those platforms, with Alexander Song, where he was the one who made the village in Gambia famous to all of us. We never know where it existed. We never knew there was a village like that. and we never knew it was attributed to
To
the
Samuel
current
Eto'o.
FA president. And he said made very explosive comments about what was happening at that time. And people usually tend to think that when these players have retired, they have the freedom in order
To
to be
say their
able
minds,
to say
and that's what Onana was
to
saying
say
as
their
well.
mind. So, I mean, these are very, very serious allegations that he has been able to make, talking about the unhealthy nature
Of the
of,
national team
of the
right now,
national team.
and there are those who are in that environment. If you look at the fact that Cameroon traveled to Australia for the FIFA World Series without the national team coordinator, without the national team manager, that is Atuba and Anuji, inexplicably, this further highlights the fact that that environment has problems.
Yeah, and in the clan war, you tend to realize that I mean, they're trying to be able to see who has better PR than the other person, because he also made a very serious revelation that for 4 years they were never given sponsor allowances from the top
Top
sponsors
sponsors allowance
of the national
bonuses.
team. Now that is very, very serious. Uh,
In all what Andre has said, Prof. Miley, we've not heard Fika Food debunk. I followed an interview from Jean Marie Coussa, who rather challenged journalists to go and do further investigations. But from Fika Food as an official body, we've not heard much from them. And it's surprising because when someone comes out and makes such accusations, you have to make a statement.
I mean, even from a marketing perspective, you might want to think that for the case of the players, they will always say, okay, the players have been able to debunk it, so there's no need for the federation to come out and say something again. I mean, we don't want to get into any unnecessary
Exchanges with the player.
with the player.
Mm.
But in the case of the top sponsors, the money that they paid not being paid to
To
the
the players.
players, that is something where the federation has to really be able to come out and speak out, because it has not just a negative.
There is discredit in the air.
Yes, it has not just a negative consequence on the federation, but also it puts the
The sponsors might be
in
accomplices.
accomplices in what is currently going on, and I don't think any sponsor will want to be associated with such an image.
Andre has said what he has said. The consequences will come because, of course, under the current Fika Foot management, they must come. We are waiting. If you are just joining us, you are on CamerFoot on Lions Tracker Sports Television with me, Mwambo Edward, and Miley Edmond. Miley, the Cameroon Elite One Championship is off and running. We are already in. We have already had two advanced games of match day 15. But there was a development over the weekend that shocked the football world in Cameroon. Foot has the power to give waivers to players who were not registered during the transfer window to play for a club. But this has to be under specific circumstances. We saw a case of four players who were given waivers by Foots SG Isaac Manon Noe to play for Aigle Royal du Mongo. And the reasons that he advanced were that, or the reason was that these four players are players currently in the academy of Aigle of Mongo. And so, because of that, they've given them the waiver to promote these four players to their first team. The irony is, none of these players has never ever been anywhere close to Aigle of Mongo's academy. And we have two of them who are 32 years old, one who is 27 years old, and one who is 21. Now, among these players is uh, James Olufade, who has played his club. He began his career in Togo with Merlin in Togo, went on to play for Dynamique Togolais before coming to Cameroon, where he signed for Panther of Nde. He left Panther and signed for New Stars. From New Stars, he went to Union first for New Stars, and then went back to Togo and left to Bahrain, where he played for many years. And he is currently a player who has won 12 caps for the national team of Togo. There is also Guy Edouard Sech. He began his career in a third-tier club in Yaoundé, moved on to play for Canon, played for Dragon, Canon, went abroad. Abroad, he signed for Tokoma Defiance. He left Cameroon through the Rainbow Sports Academy project. He signed for Tokoma Defiance in the US, the second team of Seattle Sounders. From there, he went to play in the Serbian top flight for Ratniki Piro, after which he came back to Cameroon, signed for Fortuna, and now he's 27 years old. Then there is goalkeeper Talon, who played for New Stars, played for
Young Sport.
UMS, played for Yosa, and today he's also 32 years of age. Today we hear he's now a player in the academy of Eagle of Mongo. And then there is the other guy from Nigeria. So when we look at this communique, which you are seeing on the screens right now, you begin to wonder if we are in a horror movie or we are still in football.
I mean, this is one of the biggest gaps that we've seen from the federation when it comes to programming of the championship. I mean, I've always been able to highlight the fact that one of the good points of this current administration is that they've been able to be very professional how they handle match programming and the windows. The licensing at lower levels has been an issue, but in this particular situation, the explanation given by the
SG of Fika
SG of Ekaford is, I mean, holds no ground. You cannot come
that players who are
play
32 years and 27
and,
years are in the academy of Eagle of Mongo.
and players
And
who
they've played already because the goalkeeper came in against Kotospor in that 2-0 win.
and players who have played in Cameroon, players that people know, players that people see, players who have a track
A track
record,
record.
accessible widely
You can strangely Olufade and Guy Edouard, even on Wikipedia, have some of the information,
Yeah.
though it's not complete.
So you cannot later on come on and tell the football public in Cameroon that no, these players are registered as part of the academy. What is Olufade, a 12-time international
For
with Togo?
Togo, doing in an
What is he
academy.
coming to do at 32 years at an academy? It would have been, I mean, if they had sold this as a medical,
There are circumstances which we might not be able to go into details now because of time constraint that permits
yeah,
players to register out of the window. But the reason that Fika Food advance
it's
deserves it,
no.
it's criminal.
I mean, it is scandalous because if they had gone under the medical urgency that, oh, these people have a number of injuries and
That mostly applies for goalkeepers.
and you would have realized that, oh, they come and say these are free agents. They are currently are not under any contract, and therefore we
Because
can.
for the sake of equity, the law says you even if they are free agents, they can't just join the team unless in a case of force majeure. And here, Eagle of Mongo have not presented any case. Again, we all know that Eagle of Mongo are friends to the FA, and we know where their president is right now because of Discord and who is now the new club president. So it's a way of paying your friends. Can we put it that way?
I mean, there is no other way because no other club has been able to have the same kind of
Privileges.
administrative privilege that Eglo de Mongo has had. And you know how the system is. Because the next thing is you would have clubs that will want to be able to test this precedent. They will have to be able to apply and say, okay, we have this case. We also want to be able to register
These players.
these players. But I think the scandal really comes from the fact that the federation would come and blatantly lie to us that these players
When is the
are,
FA telling lies, we
from the
begin to
academy.
wonder where we can get the truth from. And Prof, in terms of credibility, where does this leave not just this particular championship, but Cameroon's football as a whole?
I mean, it is a dip in the credibility levels of the federation, not just for us back in the country, but for stakeholders outside. I mean, this is something which is easily verifiable. These are not 18 years, 70-year-olds that you can claim that you want to be able to integrate them into the first team squad. These are seasoned professionals who've played home and abroad. And just the lie that these are academy players of Eglo de Mongo, I mean, brings all the discredit to the federation.
The FA president went and brought his uncle to come and sit in as the SG of Fekafoot. I'm wondering how much football knowledge he has, and I'm wondering if those around him can advise him because of the fear of the boss. This is another disgrace that tells the world where Cameroon's football is at this moment. If you are just joining us, this is CamerFoot on Lion Tracker Sports Television. It's me, Miley, Mwambo Edward, and Miley Edmond. The Mwambos and the Mileys, we are always together, so the names are beginning to get mixed up. Prof, the Elite One Championship, like you said, is the only bright, only silver lining in Cameroon's football backlog. The fact that games are organized regularly. We are already gone past match the 14, already began match day 15. But let's start with match day 14, where we had 7 games played and there were 5 wins and 2 draws. One home win for Colombo of Janelobo, and that home win was against Cotonsport of Garua, a free kick that was scored by Randy Kwala. There was one away win for, and the win was for Canon of Yaoundé. Dinamo of Douala and Panther of Nde also were on the road. They had we had 4 clean sheets. Away wins, we had Canon, Dinamo, Pante, and Opopo, who won away from. Of course, Opopo were winning in Bamenda. The fortress was made banal by the visitors on that day. 12 goals were scored in the first half. We had 3 and 9 in the second half. So we look at some of the key stats of this match, the Miley Edmond. We had a total of so far in the whole season 98 games and 219 goals scored, an average of 2.23 goals per game. Last weekend, we were highlighting the fact that the goals were flowing in. If you have an average of 2.3 goals per game, it means that there is a lot of entertainment in store.
Yes, I mean the teams this year are more attacking in nature, and they are not holding back. The brakes are off, and we see that there's this attacking intent from the coaches and their play styles. Every team wants to be able to go for a win, and it's opened up the game, and we are seeing more goals that are flowing in.
The goals are flowing in more in the second half than in the first. We've had 219 goals, like I said earlier on, but 96 in the first half and 123 second half, which means that second half are more prolific. We had 6 new goal scorers in match day 14, and we've had 78 different goal scorers so far in the campaign. Still, just one own goal scored so far, and that own goal was scored by Zoa. So the second halves look to be more prolific, and it's normal because the legs are tired, and the coaches must have read the game and had their tactics adjusted so the players can now get to fire.
Yes, it shows that during the first half, most players or most teams are usually very observant. They want to stay strictly to the tactics that they've been able to train all week long in order to be able to master and contain the opponent. Once we get into the second half and there is less vigilance and fatigue sets in and the odd errors start piling up, chances are created, and that's why we tend to see that the 123 goals scored
In the second half,
in the second
and
half,
93 and 96 in the first
in the
half.
first half. That's just evidence that the breaks are taken off during the second half in order to be able to go for the win.
Dinamo of Douala is the team with the most goals scored so far with 23, followed by P. Bamenda with 21 and Cotonsport of Gawa with 19. Teams with the least goals scored, we have Fortuna of Fu with 11, Aigle of Mongo with 8, and Fauvazu Elite of Yaoundé with 8. Teams with the least goals considered, Colombe with 9, Panther of Nde with 11, Municipal Bafang with 12. Teams with the most goals considered, Aigle of Mongo 21, Tarina of Melon 20, and Aigle de la Menoir with 19. 3 teams with the most clean sheets. We have Unisport of Onkam with 8 clean sheets, Canon of Yaoundé with 7, Canon and Colombe with 7 each, Fortuna with 6, Cotonsport and Aigle and Fauvazu have 5 clean sheets each. So we can see the tendency of where the teams are from number of goals scored and number of goals considered. The struggling teams are not scoring and are conceding more.
Yes, I mean that shows that justifies their position on the league table. Dinamo, I mean they are prolific. PWG are prolific, although in the last couple of games, I mean they've not been able to find their shooting boots. They lost yesterday again against Stade Rena, 2 goals to 0. They lost their home fortress over the weekend to Victoria United Opopo. I mean, but it shows that they can be able to fight for those top positions. I mean, in all, we are seeing a gap slowly being opened for Unisport because their immediate rivals
Also sleeping
are
up.
slipping off and battling each other. and it might just be a surprise season where somebody, a dark horse that nobody saw coming for this season, goes on to be able to win the championship. But hey, watch out for Colomb that has picked up
in won their last 4 games in a row
in a
under coach Jean Emandongo with coach Jacques Towa suspended.
suspended,
Mm.
and it shows that they have been able to overcome the incident at the Super Cup. Psychologically, the team has been able to move on, and they are now showing why they are champions. And I think with that momentum, they can really pose a
They can pose a real threat to
to
Unisport.
Unisport
Mm.
platform.
So let's have some keynotes from this round of fixtures or from this league so far. We want to say special thank you to you, our man Sonny Armstrong, Evra Giroud, for the wonderful work you're doing to give us all these stats. Just like on match day one during the first round, there was no goal scored during the first 15 minutes of all the games. So in the first 15 minutes, everyone is still cagey. The goals are not flowing. Unisport of Bafang are top of the table with 30 points, 5 points gap, and second 5 points gap. Second place, Cotton Sport Garua. Colomb have now leapfrogged Cotton Sport to second spot on the league table. Players with hat-tricks are Jefta of Dinamo, Tonga Nesian of Stade Rena of Melon. Brice Sinju of Colomb of Janelobo is the only player with 3 assists in one game. Jules Frank Stelipito of Opopo is the defender with the most goals. He has scored 5 goals so far this campaign. Cotosport of Garua, Gazette FA of Garua, and Aigle de la Menua are 3 teams with 0 home defeats so far in this league. Quite a strong one. The Abakwa Boys threw away that record in that loss against Opopo. Canon of Yaoundé has the best away form. 14 points picked out of their 7 games played away from their home. 4 wins, 2 draws, and 1 defeat. Column of Janelobo are the only team to record a win and a clean sheet um, home on a win and a clean sheet at home on match day 14. So quite interesting stats there for Colom. Again, I said we know that the coach has a 6 month suspension. Maybe he's working with the team behind the scenes, but now the former coach of Application Fu, Jean Francis Longoima, is the man doing the business for them.
Yeah, I mean, the ideas are flowing. I mean, you would want to think that the 1 year suspension was a touchline ban, so it does not stop him from meeting the players during training sessions and holding tactical drills with his team. But clearly, they've been able to find their form. At the start of the season, they were shaky even before the incident at the Super Cup. Now they've been able to shake off that,
Difficulty.
and while they are scoring, they are also repeating their efforts of last season of not conceding, and it's giving them considerable advantage. Yesterday in the advanced day 15 game, they blew away Gazelle 3 goals to 0. That's just going to show that hey, they believe now in themselves and they have Unisport in their sight. And you never know, one bad game for Unisport, and there you have
They have caught up with them.
Column Sport in their driving mirror.
Okay, we go game by game. Fovazu 0, Panther of Day 1, David Fangondo, the former player of Dragon of Yaoundé, got the winner for Panther at the 53rd minute. Column of Janelobo against Kotospor of Garwa. This was a game that everyone would have loved to watch. It finished 1-0 in favor of Column with a free kick from Randy Tuekwala. He's now a man in fine form. And Colomb are showing that they master the art of free kicks because in their game against Cotton Sport, the advanced match, the 15th game, they scored a free kick from NGB. Aigle de la Menua drew 1-1 at home to win for Bafang. Bless the fortune, the former attacker of Pibamenda, got the goal for Aigle of Menua, while Freddy Lobe Mbeng equalized for Unisport of Onkam to save the day. Fortuna and Fu, who are now on a 5 game winless run, 1 draw and 4 defeats, lost at home to Dynamo of Douala. Joseph Mbok got Fortuna's goal, while Jules Amanko scored 2 penalties. And then there was a goal from Brian Samuel Nyetam. So Amanko is the man of the campaign for Dynamo. With the game in Limbe on the advanced game match, the 15th game, he has now scored 8 goals and provided 7 assists, 15 goal contributions in 15 games.
Yes, he has really picked well in form. We were not sure of what form he brought back, especially given the the
The
time
difficulty he had in Tunisia.
in Tunisia. But he came back, he took on the mantle, he became captain of Dynamo, and he's been able to fire up the team. His performances yesterday in Limbe with a goal and an assist shows how much he's been able to become a leader of that team. And after a turbulent time for Dinamo, I think they're beginning to find some good form in the right time of the season, and maybe they will have their say as to who becomes champion. If they are not the ones, maybe a game against a potential contender might decide who becomes a League One champions this year.
Stade Rennais of Melon under coach Sango Emmanuel Dubebo so lost at home to Canal Sportif of Yaoundé 0-1. Zachary Ebogo, the man who scored the second goal in Limbe against Opopo, was on target again at the 95th minute for Lemekok Mangonda. Egle Jumongo of our coach Anisem Bagafue drew at home 1-1 to Gazette FA of Garua. Eric Sombise got the goal for Egle at the 41st minute. Makonde equalized for Gazelle at the 68th. The Abakwa boys lost at home for the first time to their Anglophone rivals, Opopo. That game had a lot of banter and built up. Opopo went to Bamenda in the fortress, the Bamenda Proximity Stadium, and put the Abakwa boys on the abattoir in their own slaughterhouse thanks to a wonder goal from Santa Fuda.
Yes, that was a game of the weekend. I mean, the build up, the rivalry, the social media banter, the crowds that went to the stadium. There was mobilization here in Southwest in order to carry fans.
Mobilization, fictive or real, because they said there were buses, but finally we didn't see any bus.
So the win. I think PWG psychologically overprepared the game. I mean, from the players' perspective, from the fans' perspective,
From the coaches,
from the coach's perspective, there was this pressure that
it's a must win.
it's a must-win game,
There were
especially
talks of we have to avenge this, avenge that, avenge that
especially given what happened in Limbe on match
on
day
match day
one.
one, where the referees have not yet handled any game. Ihanga Cruz and his team have been sidelined from match day one till date.
Yeah, and so you can
They awarded Opopo three imaginary penalties.
So you can imagine that um, playing in Bamenda, what they've been able to call a slaughterhouse, Opopo going down
10
to
men.
10 men, and PWC
With their captain Gefak Lawrence being sent off, they still had enough to win the game.
and PWC could not be able to maximize on that. That goes on to tell them that, I mean, at times you do not over prepare. You want to win every game. I think it's a big game for the fans, for the support, for the banter. But I mean, he goes on to let them know that at times they have to be able to take some pressure off and just play their game. However, for the fans, it's a good thing. For us, the media, it is a good thing because it promises that next season,
There is much in
the,
store
the,
again
the,
for
the
us.
derby is going to be higher and hotter.
This football fan topping the log with 30 points, followed by Kotong after match day 14, because that has changed as of now. Colomb were third then with 23 points. Now they've gone up to 26 because Kotong Sport lost to Stade Rennais, to Eagle of Mongo, and Colomb won their game by 3-0 against Gazelle. So they leapfrogged Cotton Sport to second spot now. Bottom three in the league, Aigle de la Menu 13 points, Fortuna on full 12 points, and Aigle du Mongo 12, who were on 8 points, but now will go to 11. So they still stay behind Fortuna. Fortuna not in a good place. The players saying that no salaries, no bonuses. They go to games on foot, and in fact, what's happening there is not good to tell the world. But that's the level of our championship now, despite all the hot air about players earning 200K and all whatnot. The reality on the ground is Cameroon elite players have never been more miserable than they are right now.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age of media proliferation, I think it is one thing that easily sells or makes players to be able to continue enduring all of these things is that hope, that future, that I can sacrifice, I can get all the sufferings now, and if I have
A contract
a
somewhere.
contract out of the country, it pays off.
Changes my story.
Yeah, but in the past, when players are not necessarily looked at traveling abroad, they will value
What they can get now.
what they can get now. Ask you to pay them. If you could not pay them, you could go to another club. I think so. The mentality and the philosophy for the players has been able to change because you ask yourself, why would a player go for will be the one paying their transport to go
to
for
go
games
for
and
games.
all of that, whereas basic minimum. So, I mean,
Knowing the projects that Roger Noah Minala built for Fortuna and Fu, he'll be beating himself now in his grave, looking back at what is happening to his darling club. But that's football for you. These days, our football is more played through propaganda. It's played more through propaganda than the reality. But that's where we are. Shall be back with our next talking point on the program. That is the indomitable lions around the world who are making us proud. If you are joining us wherever you are in the world, you are on CamerFoot on Lions Tracker Sports Television, and we are broadcasting live from the Flexify Studios here in Molikoboya. Miley Edmond, we are turning to our last but one. I got it finally. Talking point on the program, and of course, we begin with Cameroon players abroad and how they are faring. We start in England, Miley, where Jackson Chachua and Wolverhampton Wanderers have been relegated. He came to England with high hopes, only for him now to be looking at himself to be playing in the English Championship. They say he is the fastest player in the English league, but his speed, his fastness was not enough to keep the Wolves alive.
I think Wolves had been doomed for a very long time. It was just a matter of time for that to become mathematically declared
Confirmed.
that they were going down to the championship. They had a good run at the second phase of the championship, having results against Liverpool, picking up a draw against Man United and Arsenal. But unfortunately, that was too late for them, given how disastrous the first phase for them was. They go back to the championship. Would they be able to maintain a cream of their players in order to fight for
Bounce back.
ascension in the mid next season? That becomes left to see. I mean, hopefully, Chacho would have done enough for some Premier League clubs to have seen him and be able to
Go after his
go
services.
after his services to maintain his Premier League status.
Okay, we move over to Italy where 25-year-old potential Cameroon international forward Nesta Elfegi was voted man of the match after scoring the winner for Parma in their 0-1 away win over Udinese in the 33rd round of fixtures in the Italian Serie A. It was his first league goal of the season in 5 appearances. He also has an assist to his name. There was history being made in France by Tyrese Numbisi at the age of 16 years and 341 days. The midfielder made his debut for Strasbourg and became their youngest player ever in the French top flight since Jacques Classman, who played for Strasbourg in 1978 at the age of 16 years and 126 days in the French top flight. Tyrese Numbisi was brought on at the 83rd minute in their 0-3 home loss to Rennes in match day 30 of the French League One. Yes, peculiarity Tyrese Numbisi. He was born in England, came through the Man City Academy, plays for the English youth teams, but still available and eligible to play for Cameroon if he chooses.
And we should also mention here that he is the son of of a physiotherapist that once worked with the national team. So he's talented. I mean, he comes from the Man City Academy, which is building up a reputation of being able to produce.
There's also another Cameroonian in that academy at the moment, and he's already playing for the English youth team.
So it's left to be able to see where he makes his choice to represent England, where he was born, or to represent Cameroon, where his father comes from. We don't know if the federation, federation tends to have a plan.
You were praising them on this. You're saying that they are doing a good job because they've brought a good number of them. The Hetero brothers from Bayern. We've seen many of these boys who already come in to the Cameroon national team. Then, which means that we might have Numbisi in the future.
I mean, that is what they tend to do. I've always had my reservations about bringing in nationals because football. I mean, it's also about culture, understanding the people, and using that as
Their mentality.
that mentality as an internal motivation in order to give your all for the national team. Those who just come here and spend a couple of hours play, then go back at times do not have that ability to adapt. So good luck to him and to the career that promises ahead of him.
In Iraq, Cameroon international forward Christian Lionel Atebambida scored and provided an assist for Al Shota in their 3-1 home win over Al Qasim in match day 30 of the Iraqi Stars League, the equivalent of the Iraqi top flight. It was his 17th league goal of the season with 6 assists. That's quite impressive. We move over to Belgium, where Cameroon Youth International forward Aaron Banning Bibout scored the second goal for KRC Genk in their 1-2 away win over Vestalo in the third round of fixtures in the Belgian Pro League Conference League playoffs. It was his fourth league goal of the campaign in 14 league games. Still in Belgium, Bernard Guinea opened his account for Standard Liège as he scored his first goal of the season for the team in their 1-2 away win over Sporting Charleroi in the third round of fixtures of the Belgian Pro League Conference League playoffs. His first goal of the campaign in 9 appearances for the former player of the École de Football de Brazzaville to Cameroon. In China, defender Michael Ngandeng Gandri scored with a header at the 14th minute to give a Chongqing Tonglianglong FC the lead in their 1-2 away win over China Ports in match day 7 of the Chinese Super League. It was Ngando's first goal of the season in 7 games. Away in Brazil, Cameroon defender Duplex Chamba Bangu scored the first goal for Remo in their 1-3 win over Bahia in the 5th round of the Copa Betano do Brazil. It was his first goal for the club, former player of Casapia in Portugal. In Turkey, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, Andre Onana reminded everyone, every doubter, of his class in Trabzonspor's win over Samsunspor of Jules Olivier Cham in the Turkish Cup quarterfinals. Cameroon goalkeeper stopped 3 penalties in a nail-biting shootout as the game was decided in a post-match penalties. His heroics helped Trabzonspor into the last 4. Jules Olivier Cham, Cameroon midfielder, provided an assist rather for the first goal for Samsung Spor in their 2-1 home win over Besiktas in match day 30 of the Turkish top division. It was his 22nd league game of the season with 1 goal and 1 assist to his name. In Holland, Akko van der Slot has been unstoppable this season in the Dutch second tier. The 23-year-old right back helped his team ADO Ten Hag gain promotion back to the Dutch top flight as champions of the Dutch Eredivisie. He scored their second goal in a 5-1 win over Walwijk in match day 37. He has scored 8 goals this season and provided 2 assists as a right back. Quite impressive. He was seen carrying a Cameroon flag during their championship winning celebrations. The Lindeborn defender has never hidden his desire to play for Cameroon. In Sweden, Alium Mubarak helped Gothenburg share the spoils by providing the assist for IFK Gothenburg in their 1-1 away draw with Halmstad in match day 3 of the Swedish top flight. He has now featured in 4 league games this season with 1 assist. In Greece, midfielder Martin Hongla opened the scoring for Aris Thessalonica in their 3-2 win over Volos in the round of 2 of the qualifying round for the Greek Super League. It was his first league goal of the campaign in 10 appearances. In Russia, Christopher Maurice was voted as the Spartak Moscow Player of the Month of March 2026. The former AS Nancy Club of Lands and Rennes defender is back to his best with the Russian top flight side. In the UAE, Cameroon midfielder Pierre Koundé Malong scored the 3rd goal from a beautiful free kick for Diba Al Hassin in their 0-4 away win over Masfoot in match day 22 of the UAE second tier. It was his 3rd league goal of the season. In Nigeria, Cameroon international defender Che Fondo Malone will play the CAF Confed Cup final for a 2nd consecutive year after his team USM Alger qualified for the final against OC Safi on the away goals rule after a 1-1 aggregate scoreline in the semi-finals. He lost the final last season to Wisimba FC against Renaissance Berkane. They will play against Zamalek of Egypt in the final. We move over to Denmark, where Cameroon forward Giovanni Vianney scored 2 goals for FC Copenhagen in their 1-4 away win over Velge in match day 27 of the Danish top flight. He has now scored 2 goals in 7 league appearances. In the USA, with their 4-1 home win over St. Louis in match day 7 of the US MLS, Cameroon international defender Nou Tolo and his teammates are now on a 19-game unbeaten run at their home ground, the Lumen Field. Finally, in Bulgaria, Bertrand Fourier was the man, the Cameroon forward. Frederic Max Bertrand Fourier scored the first goal for Septembri Sofia in their 1-2 away win over Slavia in their 29th league game of the season. It was his 11th league goal of the campaign in 27 games, Smiley.
I mean, it shows the plethora of players Cameroon has across different continents, countries, and football leagues. It's unfortunate that this June Cameroon will be playing at the World Cup to provide better chances, but it just goes on to show that with better groundwork we can be able to improve. Our hope and our wish is that we have more players who now can be able to play in the bigger leagues. Where they can be able to have more visibility and earn more money.
So it's not a problem of lack of personnel, it's the environment and the casting. Because we have seen that in terms of quality players, we've got them all over the world. We are broadcasting live from the Flexify studios here in Moliko Boya, and the program is CamerFoot on Lion Striker Sports Television. Miley Edmond, it's a wonderful thing to see football played at the highest level on the best settings with the best kind of marketing. But in Kumba over the weekend, there was a game between Kumba City FC and FC Yaoundé, the counting for match day 10 of the MTN Elite 2 Championship, Cameroon's second tier championship. And this is how one of the teams arrived for the game. Looking at this image, does this honor Cameroon's football?
I mean, it doesn't. I don't know why these clubs seem not to have gotten the memo.
Can we attribute the catastrophic setup, the primary school setup where primary school kids are running all over the place and the bus is parking to the clubs?
We do know that Kumba City plays at the GPS field, and games on Wednesdays. Usually, they'll require the schools that occupy that facility to be able to go home earlier. And these clubs, if they tend to come in early, definitely they have to be able to come across.
I've seen the picture published by the media officer of Kumba City FC where the players are changing in a classroom, and you begin to wonder if the media officers of these clubs don't understand what it means to be a club media officer, because there are images you don't put out there. I've seen clubs with players seated on the floor at halftime. The media officer is rushing there for pictures. Are you supposed to put every image out there to the marketplace?
And that is where one area I charge the federation to be able to get in and train these people. A lot of people get into sports.
A club has someone who says he's a journalist, and the employer must say, okay, you are the one to take care of from our media, our social media handles. How does the FA come in here?
No, you realize that journalism is not the same as marketing and it's not the same as branding. Right? Journalism is more
Branding and marketing are fields on their own, but they've been incorporated into journalism.
So you will now realize that the federation, in order to sell a better image, because this image is at the end of the day, they will say that's Cameroon's football. So the federation has the responsibility or oversees the image that goes out, and they can be able to organize workshops with these people.
Because FicaFoot posted pictures of the game between Opopo and Piba Menda on their Facebook handle to tell the world that football in Cameroon has returned. And then this one from Kumba, it paints two opposite pictures.
Yeah, so you now realize that if they have to post what the good images from Bamenda, they have the responsibility to ensure that that kind of image is replicated across the country,
exactly,
across every ground. So what we saw coming from Kumba does not bode well. I mean, they can be able to give guidelines to the media officers and the journalists who come there, like, please, we are playing in Kumba, and we do understand that between 11 and 12, people and students will be streaming out.
It's strange because apart from these children and these pupils who were still around, the image of the players in the classroom as well.
In the classroom does not speak well. We've seen images of some clubs where the players are coming down and they're wearing foreign club shirts on them. I mean, these are things.
Coaches on the sideline coaching with funny jerseys and shorts that is typical to Cameroon.
Yeah, so it does not really speak well. And even with the Bamenda, there is a fan that was interviewed as one of. I mean, he was wearing a Barcelona shirt and was being shown as one of the mascots of PWG Bamenda. These things, our media officers out there should be able to pay attention to little details like that.
Our fans too have to know that it's important to have your club
Like
gadgets, not like fans who wanted to go to watch Opopo and P in Bamenda who were forced to buy Opopo jerseys first because that looked more of a scam than a goodwill gesture. Where we are done with today's program, I want to say a big shout out to you, Fun Love It, the man who does all the magic from the technical side, and of course, the management of the Flexify Studios. We have been Mwambo Edward and Miley Edmond saying, thanks for watching.